Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Talk Music Talk with Boice. I am Boice. This is my podcast you are listening to. Talk Music Talk is a weekly music interview podcast where I have long-form conversations with people connected to music from different backgrounds and different genres. Established and emerging singers and singer-songwriters, music therapists, music journalists. And on this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking to a singer and songwriter, Taylor Simone from Jazze Belle, lead vocalist of the New York group Jazze Belle. And if you love your soul music with an adventurous spirit, you will love Jazze Belle. She co-formed it with Justin Carter. She is originally from Los Angeles and a musical family, and she is a perfect example of finding the courage to follow your dreams despite challenges or difficulties which are inevitable on your path to following your dream. As everyone knows that. In this conversation, we talk about how Jazze Belle was started. We talk about working with people you care about, her approach to studio recording and live shows, and she is an incredible live performer. I had the pleasure of seeing her a few weeks ago at the Brooklyn Club. Come on, everybody. If you have the chance to see Jazze Belle, you should definitely check them out. We also talk about being honest in her work and so much more. After the conversation, 2 songs from Jazze Belle's latest EP, which is entitled Go to Bed Standing Up. You will hear Every Day's Tomorrow and possibly right after the conversation. But before we get to that, did you know that Talk Music Talk is now streaming on Spotify? That's right. All you have to do is head on over to the app, hit subscribe, and you will get every show as it comes out. Plus, you can listen to the back catalog. Talk Music Talk on Spotify right now, streaming, so go and listen. So here it is, without further ado, my conversation with Taylor Simone from Jazze Belle. Enjoy. So when I know very little about people from my online research, I just jump right in. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and I came here for school.
Mm-hmm. And how long ago was that?
That was class of 2014.
Okay. And what was school?
I went to Columbia.
Okay. And what'd you go for? Music?
I actually went for African American studies. Okay. And I minored in jazz history and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Why was that your major?
You know, I walked in there saying I was an English major, and I was like, no, I'm not interested. I like writing, but they had this requirement that you had to take at least 3 pre-1800 English courses, and only one could be Shakespeare. And that's when I realized, I was like, I don't care that much I really don't care about pre-18. I'm not interested in that.
So were you interested in the writing or just the studying of it so you could teach it, or what?
Right. I was interested. I was always interested in writing, and then I realized like I was interested in Black perspectives, and you know, there weren't really any Black perspectives pre 1800. You know, like you really like, I was like, there's one, you know, slave narrative class. So that's why I was like, I'm interested in contemporary writing. And then that kind of led me to African American studies, contemporary, you know, Black thoughts and writing. Okay,
so it was contemporary. Did it also go into history also?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit of both. And so I learned a lot, and it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people dissuaded me from African American studies major. They're like, it's, you know, it's a little too specific, or, you know, a lot of people are like, aren't you Black? Like, why do you need to take African American studies? You know? And
that was other Black people.
Yeah. And you know, and it's really interesting because I realized it's like, you know, African American studies is really American history. It's the American history that like people really don't want to talk about. You know, it really is the stuff that people, they're like, oh yeah, slavery. They're like, no, we're really going to tell you like the, you know, the financial and political implications of slavery and how it's literally still matters. You know? So it's cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. What do you think you got the most out of?
I got the most out of, you know, the literature. So inspired. I got African American literature 1 and 2. And that's where I got exposed to James Baldwin, Tony. Well, I read Toni Morrison in high school, and I don't know why I read it in high school. Like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then I reread it, and I was like, whoa, wow. Yeah. Even I reread Their Eyes Are Watching God. I read that too young. Like, I read it again. I was like, wow, I missed an entire plot point.
Like, you need somebody to talk about it with.
Yeah,
and
I was like
dissect
13 and just like did not understand the nuance of what was going on. So yeah, the literature really inspired me as a writer myself,
what did it do for your songwriting, the lyrics?
I really just like understood a lot about the different places that a Black perspective can go, how inspiring it is, and how honest it is, and it makes me, I still have all the syllabi for my classes. You know what? Because to be honest, I saw a lot of the books. Did all the books get read? So,
but you didn't sell them, so.
No, I didn't sell them. Like, I'm ready to read,
Yeah, you can always go back.
Yeah.
It's the same information.
Yeah. We'll go, have a second read.
So what was your musical background?
Yeah, so my musical background, I'm from a musical family. My mom sang, my dad sang, they met singing.
Okay.
And, I got a lot of play-aunts. They all were in the Black background singing circuit. So I grew up with a lot of music around me, but I didn't start writing and considering it for myself until high school, 9th grade specifically.
Okay.
And I started writing from poetry first. I think I was writing poetry and spoken word. And then it kind of, you mean I can, write poetry to music? And like, that's how you what? And so, yeah, I kind of consider me doing music from that point. So about 10 years.
Okay. So how did you find that out that the poetry could go into music?
Okay, so I took piano lessons as a kid, and I've been on and off ever since. So no one actually told me. It was just kind of like, 9th grade, it was a very angsty year. Okay. I was very, and I kind
young womanhood?
Yes. I was very, it was, it was a sad year. And I wrote poetry to, express my feelings. And I think from some way, and also to like release. I would come home from school and just play piano for a couple hours. Yeah. So I think it was just natural that both of them kind of came together eventually,
So you were just coming up with vocal melodies?
Yeah. Oh, also, my mom is like my best friend. My mom used to sing, and, it's so funny. We used to just make up little songs in the house all the time. Rarely did they become songs I wrote, but like, if I really think about it, we were writing songs about washing dishes and eating food and cooking since I was like 6, So I think with that kind of mindset, writing how I am now is not much of a stretch. Okay.
So in 9th grade, are you now thinking, okay, I can start going out singing and...
Yeah, so I don't think I thought I can do this as a career. I can do this as a purpose until later in high school, around junior year, sophomore year. At this time, but even then, I was always kind of like, I went to an all-girls school that was like predominantly like math and science oriented. So, I was always like the artsy chick, but felt like there was a limit to it, but you're going to do this at the end of the day. And it wasn't until like junior year that I was like, well, no, I can actually do this. I went to a camp called Grammy Camp.
Okay. What's Grammy Camp?
And it was called Grammy Camp, and it was like a 9-day nationwide little institute where kids from all over the country would, play guitar, play bass, their instruments, songwrite, produce, engineer, and create an album in 9 days. And also like a showcase. And it was from there that I found people that did music. I went to music schools, and they were awesome. And I realized how much I loved it. And that's when I was like, what? Yeah. You mean I could like do this? this is crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was the point.
Yeah. How'd you find out about that?
Online.
Mm-hmm.
Online. And I did from the summer. I went to like a competitive like high school, and me doing this was not something they were like, really?
Okay, because everyone was geared towards math and science.
Or you could go to a business program, or you can go to this, so this Grammy camp was, not necessarily in the cards. But I'm glad I did it. It's crazy. After that, the year after, I did this thing called Grammy Jazz Ensembles. And that's how I started really leaning towards jazz voice in a serious way. And honestly, people that I met from those two programs, I am still in touch with.
Oh, really?
10 years later, they're doing ridiculous things on tour, producing for major artists.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like those camps really do work. Okay. you really do meet people, So it's been cool to see everyone's trajectory, what they're doing.
Were your parents, did they want you on the math science path?
I think my mom, and everyone has always been supportive of my music. I think that my mom wanted me to have as many opportunities as possible because she knew firsthand how difficult music is. So she didn't want me to be pigeonholed like music is the only thing I can do. Yeah. And I think after I got out of college, I'm ready to put 110% into the music, and mom is scared. She's like, are you sure you don't want to, go to graduate school and do this and this and this? And I was like, no, I really, and she has every right to do it. She did it, and she's like, yo, it's not easy and it's not fair. But she's always been really, really supportive of what I'm doing. Okay.
So you going for African American studies, is that a way to be, that's your plan, was that plan B or plan A?
Honestly, at this juncture in my life, I don't have a plan B.
Yeah.
I feel like for most of my young adult life, it's always been a very plan B type thing. And I feel like, and by juncture, I mean like right now. I don't know how this is going to change, but like, as
the recording of this now.
Yes, as in my current present state, I realize, like going to high school, music school was never an option. It was like, this is where you're going. And even when I was in college, it was like, I mean, music is great, but you know that you're here to do something else. Like, why would you go to this school and only do this? Like it was always these things in my mind that made me not that I wasn't confident in my music, but like never fully put all the eggs there because I was too busy trying to like live up to others' expectations of what I was supposed to do with, whatever. And now I'm like, forget it. Like this is what I love. Yeah. This is what I'm here to do, I believe. And I mean, that doesn't mean this is the only thing I'm doing, but this is plan A, B, C, D.
I like that. So how did you hone your talent while you were doing math and science and then African American studies?
I mean, honestly, I'm still honing it. And I think about that a lot. Yeah. I don't regret going to Columbia. I learned a lot about myself and other things that I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm still honing that because there's a certain level of ethic that you build at a music school or a music institution. Not that I don't have ethic in other things, but like it's a different thing. And so I've been learning what's important to me musically and how to build that as an adult, out of school.
Okay.
And so I'm still honing that in, and I'm grateful for the time regardless. I don't regret my path, but it is,
Had you been like you were singing out or doing any training?
Right. So since like 14, I had always been performing, doing contests or talent shows, like regional stuff. And, near the end of high school, I was kind of traveling a little bit, doing little programs, and even in college, that was a regular thing.
Okay.
But it's difficult, you know, even with all of that, you know, it's difficult to do that and be like, the amount that I actually wrote music was small because I remember not being able to convince myself that spending this time writing was worth it, was okay to do because I had to study this, I had to do this. There was always work to be done, so I could never like be like rationalize me practicing. So I'm glad I'm out.
Like in my free time, I'm going to do music because it really wasn't
but
free
it's like
time.
there's no free time, so I just like choose to not do this or that, you know. So yeah.
So when did Jazze? So you graduated from Columbia, right? And you're happy with the African American Studies. And what was the minor again?
Jazz history.
Jazz history. Okay, so you got
I got some music in it.
Okay. And what were you before we get to about Jazze Belle? What are you influences? What have you been listening to?
Okay, influences from back then or just now?
Both.
Okay, yeah. So influences for back then that's still now. Jill Scott, of course. Erykah Badu, you know, Neo Soul Canon. The Neo Soul Canon. You know, also Layla Hathaway. I've also been a huge fan since high school of Little Dragon.
Okay,
huge fan. And then from there, Flying Lotus, and then from there, basically that whole crew, Thundercat, and you know, everyone on Brain Feeder. You know, people I'm listening to now, I love Gabriel Garzon Montano's album. Who else? I was listening to this guy Smino, who's really cool. So, of course, Solange, Kalela. But I listen to a lot of different stuff. Those are just people that come to mind.
So it's kind of like this adventurous, rhythm and blues, soul.
Right. Oh, I forgot to mention also Jay Davy. In high school, it was Little Dragon, Jay Davy. Okay. I've always been on that kind of experimental, like R&B and electronic track. But the music that I was making at that time was not that at all. It was just me on keys. And I still really appreciate that music. I really admired the music that Little Dragon was doing back then. But I was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't even know the first step of go, you know. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
How do you make that?
So that's why Jazze Belle is kind of cool to me. I was like, I'm glad that I figured out a way to get to stuff I've always been inspired by.
But even if you strip away the production of the songs, there's still actual songs there. Like you could play them on guitar and vocals and
right. I mean, when you strip the stuff out, it's a you know, it's a neo soul song. It's a, you know, some jazz influence to it. So, and a lot of times if we're playing live, we either you know choose to play with a couple of tracks or you know some effects or not. You know.
Because you got actual songs in. So how did Jazze Belle start?
Right. So I graduated college and I had chosen to stay in New York. But, you know, even though I went to Columbia, I went out a little. But I didn't really go out that much. So I was excited to live here and really experience New York.
So you didn't get to see the
I mean, I went
music
out
scene as much as you could have.
You know, I went, you know, a couple of places. And now that I realize I went more out than I thought, but I really didn't soak up the scene. So this summer I went out everywhere. Everywhere. And then I stumbled onto a gig where Justin, who's the producer of Jazze Belle, was playing drums. A friend of a friend show. I was like, well, he's really good. And then we became friends. He played a gig while I was doing solo stuff. And then just randomly, I think we got together for like a writing session and we wrote SCW. And, you know, honestly, Jazze Belle kind of started on a whim, you know, and I think it's one of the most whimsical decisions I've ever made, especially musical. So it's really cool that it's turned out that we've been put out a project, 2 tours.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for so long, because we wrote like 2 songs and we're like, let's be a band.
Yeah.
Let's make, okay. Let's get a website. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a really cool journey.
Had you been looking for collaboration?
Yeah, I had at that time because I released a project of my own solo called Songs from the Front Yard.
Okay.
And rather than it being like a concept project per se, it was more like songs that I had always written and put together and stuff. And that was the first time I had ever like actually put something out.
Okay.
So I liked it, but it was just a lot, to do all of this pretty much by myself.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for collaboration to, help shoulder that weight, someone to bounce ideas off of, but also just to help with all the things necessary to do this art stuff. And so that's how I think Jazze Belle started. It was like, it can be a group, it can be a team effort,
So you two were on the same page right from the start on the sound, or did you know what the sound was going to be?
Honestly, we knew what we liked, but getting to the sound that we have now has been a journey. And I think we're still, I'm already thinking about ideas for the next project, and I think our sound's gonna be different, So I think we getting closer and closer to the sound as the years go past. But the thing that we both liked is that we both really liked Flying Lotus.
Okay.
We both really liked Jay Davy. I was like, okay, the fact that you even know who Jay Davy is, okay, let's talk, let's hang. So we've always been into like different experimental soul stuff. Although our music tastes do diverge in certain ways, and I think at this point have blended in with each other. But I think we went from like the Flying Lotus place and onward.
Okay. How did you know which direction? No, I don't want to go there. I'm flying with a seat on my pants.
No, it's all good.
Okay. How do you know which, as over the years, like to incorporate a strong live show? Because I've only seen you once, but it was a really strong live show. Like,
thank you.
You're welcome. From the beginning, that not just the recorded, but the live would be.
Right. Well, I mean, I have to attribute a lot of that to who we play with. They're amazing, and they're our friends.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more I work musically with people, the more I appreciate friendship and camaraderie within music. It's just so important. And I've been in situations, and I know every musician has, where they're kind of just like hired to do it, and it's a cool gig, but like you feel dispensable. So I think a lot of the reason why the live show is strong is because we really care about who we play with, and we wouldn't have it any other way with them. And like, we always want to make it known that they're valued and that their input in how we arrange this is valuable, So that's one thing. But yeah, we've been playing forever too.
Yeah.
Henny plays bass, Paul plays keys, Sil plays sax, and our friend Jacob plays guitar. He was like the first other member of Jazze Belle. He's gone to school, but we still play with him anytime he's free. It's like, if you want to. And I think both them knowing the way that we, write and perform influences the way what they bring, and then us knowing their style so much influences how we make, So it's a real collaborative effort.
Okay.
But live music and live performance has always been really important to us. Because I personally think I've determined whether I love a group or not based on their live show.
Okay, really? Okay. Why is that?
Call me old fashioned, but yeah, like if you're not hitting live, then I'm like, And I know that's like a real old fashioned place to go, but that's how I feel, and I think that's how a lot of people in the group feel as well. So, and I know that I'm speaking for Justin, but Justin is always down to improve. He'll look at the stuff and be like, all right, okay, this is what we're changing. Like, I'm bored with this. This is how we make this better. How do we make it better?
Okay. So you're not locked into the recorded song. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, in many ways, they're like, all right, so for the live, what are we going to do different on this?
So how are you looking at your approach for live versus in the studio?
Well, in the studio, it's really just like, we're trying to change that because we like the energy of the band so much. We're trying to actually have some recordings of like the band being all together, you know, because to be honest, it's like really just production and then members of the band play within the production, but it's not like a live performance recorded. So I think in the future that's what we're trying to do. But the studio is very different. It's really like we work better separately and then come together later. Justin likes to be in his own world producing. And when he thinks it's good, he'll send it to me, and then I'm a perfectionist when it comes to the vocal stuff, and it takes longer, always takes longer than I'd like it to. You know, and then finally that's a good take, and get into that mixing and mastering situation.
Okay, so you're not a one take Taylor? Is that what
I wish. I try and be. Man. I wish. I'd be like, give me one more time. They're like, are you sure? One more time.
Yeah. Did you have to, or you seem like a natural live performer. Is it natural for you? Did you have to a journey to get to that?
It's so interesting because I think that Jazze Belle, like me and Jazze Belle and me doing solo stuff has required different things from me as far as performance. You know, when I was doing solo stuff, you know, I was, it was a different vibe.
Yeah.
Just wearing flashy little clothes. We would do the electric slide and the thing, you know, and it was fun. It was a totally different thing. And I feel like Jazze Belle, since it's a little darker, it's a little moodier, I felt like it didn't come naturally to be that person on stage. But now I'm like, forget that. Just be you and be as honest as you can be on stage. And that's what I love about performing. You can be as honest and bare as you want, which I think is similar to like spoken word stuff. People will put their whole life out there in spoken word. And what I love about it is like, no one's coming up to you like, tell me more. Like, people just receive what you give and then that's it. It's like, it's so wild that a space with like 50 people saying your deepest thoughts is like the safest space.
Yes. What is that about?
You know, it's like, I'm like, if I tell 2 people, they might tell everybody in the world, but you tell 70 people that you don't know and like nothing, and like no one even asks you. They're like, oh, that was a great song. I was like, wow.
Or they connect or relate to it while you tell 2 people, it'd be like, why'd you tell me all that?
Right, exactly. It's like, I need to know all that. You say the same thing in the song, they're like, wow, man, I'm listening to it all day, man. I love that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this more often then.
So does that take courage for you, like at least starting with in the beginning?
I think it did. And then when I realized the nature of that space, of a public space, then it felt like, oh, this is easy. I didn't even realize, because it's so wild how you can do that. I have sung about and said things that at the time I would barely admit to myself, but it was fun, you know? And I was like, and that's when I realized, I'm like, you know, songwriting has to be honest, has to be. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, always, like, if you can't admit it to yourself, admit it to yourself on paper. Yeah. You know, like, you know, get to the heart of it.
And what do you, some things that your themes you return to?
You know, in high school and in college prior to Jazze Belle, a lot of it was love lost. Yeah. You did this and da. Go to Bed Standing Up is actually about dreams. Okay. And it was a difficult process because it was the first time that I had really not written about love or what somebody did, what somebody didn't do. It was really an introspective thing about So go to bed standing up. It's like, what does it take to become your dream? What does it mean? What's the step by step? You know, we love Kendrick Lamar and, you know, even Solange, you know, like people that are in completely different places in their career in music in a very short period of time. You know, Solange in 2012 is not the Solange now. No. It's just not. And we wonder, like, I know there's a point where you looked up and you're like, wow, I am breathing what I dreamt a couple of years ago. And so that's what that whole project is about. And it was different for me to write it because I think I was going through that. I'm asking the question and I'm going through it. And like what I'm writing is like what I needed to hear from myself. So that's probably why it took a little longer.
Okay.
I had to convince myself before I convinced anybody else. You know, it was like the whole thing is like life is hard, but you can do it.
Yeah.
But if I don't believe that I can do it,
and if you listen
then I'll be like, yeah, that's corny. Yeah. You know, like I have to get to a place where like I would believe myself. So yeah, that's going to bed standing up.
Yeah. Because the world will definitely tell you
that's
about
corny.
You.
Yes.
Yeah, what you need to do. You need to do math and science. Right?
Yes, it'll tell you a lot of stuff, and you know, we've always been like quote unquote positive, but my thing is like in being positive, also acknowledging the difficulty of life and of what you're going through. Because that's a lot of the reasons why, like, a lot of, like, quote-unquote positive stuff I don't necessarily vibe with. Because they'll be like, you could do it. It's all easy. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. It's not at all. And so that's when I'm like, it feels preachy to me. It feels corny to me. Like, it doesn't resonate with me. So, like, if people are like, yo, this is really hard. Then I'm like, thank you. Okay, we're here. Okay, now you can tell me what I can do.
Or tell me the backstory so I know how you got to this positive place.
Right.
You didn't just like wake up one day and feeling that way.
Right. I love that. Tell me the backstory. Tell me about what it took. You know, that's the inspiring stuff, not just like, and I'm good. Like, you know, like, that's not cool. So
will this be reflective of the EP? Came out this year, so you're working on music for next year. Yes. So you said it's gonna be different, most likely. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
And you're working on that now.
Yeah. So now I'm circling back on love again.
Okay.
And
because of a current situation.
Well, you know, I'm thinking about. It's so funny. I'm thinking about love in all of its iterations. You know. Yeah, I'm thinking about. Especially since like Cheeto president and it's been in office, what does love mean in this way? Yeah, you know, I feel like I'm living in an alternative reality. Like I never actually thought this was going to happen. Yeah. So I was like, "What did you think about?" I was like, "I didn't think this was going to happen." These days are just like happening in front of me. I have no idea. This is not what I was expecting. So you know, in this kind of just like what are we doing right now era, like what does love mean now, and like what is the antithesis of love? And for me, it's ignoring, it's denying, it's acting like it's all good, you know. And so that's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to get at with this next one,
because you know it's not good, all good.
It's not all good. It's not good. So yeah.
And any more shows? Because you said at the show, I saw you at the Wouldn't Be a Jazze Belle performances for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. 2018?
Yes, 2018. We'll be right on the road. We released our video called Possibly in September. And then after that, we did a whole bunch of little shows up in Vermont and Boston. And then we did some in the city. So right now, our calendar is wide open. I was like, let me sit down and write a song or two.
Will this be another EP or full album?
Yeah, I think it'll be another EP, but we've been having a lot of little projects on the table. I'm in the idea right now where like, I love the project that we did before. I want to make another one in half the amount of time.
Okay.
like, let's just make the music.
Yeah.
And
Get
stop
it
being
out
a
there.
perfectionist about it. Like, we were talking about astrology. I'm a Virgo, and like, I hate when that Virgo stuff gets out. I really try and temper it. Like, I'm not that perfectionist, and I'm like, I am. Stop.
Because if you're looking for something wrong, you gotta
find it. Oh my gosh.
I could do one more take.
Yeah. And then literally it's 17 takes. And then I'm just frustrated. I'm like, Taylor, stop. Chill out.
So what do you want 2018 to look like?
I want 2018. So 2018 is basically like my 25th year.
Okay.
So we released it on my 25th birthday. And so, I've been mentally preparing for it. I was like, all right, what are we doing, Tay? And so I just want this year to be a lot of action. So a lot of visible results. And I'm less attached to how it looks and just that it looks, that it gets done. And allowing myself to be like, okay, so we might have this big idea and it might fall short. Okay, but you did it.
Yeah.
And that means the next project's going to be popping because you did the first one,
And whatever you learn from that.
You don't have to release the next opus of an idea in 9 years. Just release some stuff. It don't have to be perfect. Just,
Are you talking about D'Angelo?
Well, you see now, D'Angelo, look, everybody's process is everybody's process.
Yeah.
Like, that was hot. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was there. I was at Best Buy Theater. Like, whoa! So.
I love D'Angelo. So,
he's, amazing.
Yeah. So, best place for people to check out the music, watch your videos, all that stuff.
Yeah, so you can check us out, jazzebellemusic.com, JAZZEBELLE. And you can, if you type that in Google, you should find some vids of us, or SoundCloud, Spotify. Like us on Spotify. Yeah, we're everywhere.
I'll put all that in the show notes. Did I leave anything out?
No, you're good.
Thank you. You were good. Thank you for doing this.
This was so much fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
My mind is racing faster than my legs can't get out. And I can't get no rest. My dreams are made of never-ending alarms, so I sleep with one eye open. Feeling like forever, but I'm falling short. And I can't ignore every day's tomorrow. Every day's tomorrow. And I can't get no rest. My dreams are made of never-ending alarms, so I sleep with one eye open. Feeling like forever, but I'm falling short. What you miss will follow, and I can't ignore every day's tomorrow. Every day's tomorrow. An eerie assurance of not knowing where you're headed, but clear you're in the opposite direction. Tossed between the reality we refuse to leave and the future waiting patiently. searching with thirst for my last swallowed words, an attempt to rewrite the intentions I made. The plans in my mind dissolve so quickly in life. Over again, try too hard to hold it in my hands. They say if you love, you should let it go. If it's fate, it'll come back to you. I'm a vacant mind in the meantime. Possibly the vision is really real. I can see it glowing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear in a plume of smoke? Possibly the vision is really real. I can see it growing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear in a plume of smoke? For my ideas to be fluent in what they mean, move my tongue like a wand and create things. Make my word like a bond that never breaks. Vision like a gong reverberates like an echo of my beating heart. I want it done if I could only start. Possibly the vision is really real. I can see it glowing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear in a plume of smoke? Possibly the vision is really real. I can see it growing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear in a plume of smoke?
And you just heard two from Jazze Belle with Taylor Simone. That was Possibly, and kicking it off, Every Day's Tomorrow, both from the EP Go to Bed Standing Up, available at jazzebellemusic.com. I am online at talkmusictalk.com for more podcast information and to stream every single episode. Over 150 shows for you to check out. I am also on Instagram at This Is Boice, so follow me there. Some call to actions for you. If you enjoyed this episode with Taylor, please share it on social media, email it to a friend, or leave a 5-star rating and or review wherever you happen to be listening, especially on iTunes, because this all helps to grow the TMT audience. You can also download the TMT app. It is free for iPhone and Android, wherever you like to get your apps. Just search for Talk Music Talk in the store. You can also subscribe to the podcast, as I mentioned, on Spotify, but also iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and many other places. Again, just search for Talk Music Talk. And another place you can listen to the show, on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/The This is Boice, starting with episode 100. You can also check out my music there because I make music all on one spot, music and podcasts. That's right, starting with episode 100. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Taylor Simone. It was a pleasure to talk to her. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, and there will be a next time. This one's for you, Liz.